Hello, everybody. Welcome to Political Science 121 American Government. My name is Dr. Albert Ponce, and I will be your professor for the next 6 weeks. I am a professor of political science and social justice studies here at Diablo Valley College, where I've been teaching for 4 years. Prior to my time here, I taught at Lake Tahoe Community College, where I was the chair of the History, Ethnic Studies, and Political Science departments. And prior to that, I had just completed my PhD and master's at the University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA, in the Department of Political Science. And before that, I did my undergraduate degree at UC Berkeley, where I majored in political science and Chicano studies. And prior to that, it all started here at the community college. I'm originally from Los Angeles, California, and I transferred from Mount San Antonio Community College. So that's a brief mini biography about my educational trajectory. My research interests lie in racial politics, politics of immigration, and political philosophy. So I think the material, the content that you're about to engage, some of you maybe for the very first time, will really center the historical foundations of how we got to where we're at today. And we see this moment of uprising in the United States during a pandemic. This is an unprecedented moment as far as the pandemic, the virus COVID-19, but which we're going to see and begin to understand when we're dealing with the issue of structural or systemic forms of racism. That was the seed that was planted in every single institution of American government prior to the Constitution. And this is how our chapter 1 will open up. Before we get into that, before we get into the content, I just wanted to make a few comments on this moment that we're in, because this is the topic and this is what we're going to be doing. You'll be reading from the textbook that I provided here for you. You have the text PDF that you have for free. And I sent out in the letter. If you would like to purchase a copy, you can find a low-cost third edition copy, online. Normally, I have multiple copies in the library, but you have the full text PDF here. So, in essence, this is a free no cost course for you. But in addition to that, you're also going to have the New York Times, a free subscription if you haven't subscribed to that already. I've already sent out the instructions on how to do that. So please do that ASAP. That should be the first thing you do before we get started, because I will be sending you stories. And the New York Times, it is not my favorite newspaper, but it's one that Diablo Valley College and you all pay for. It's free for us, and that will be our common go-to. It is the paper of record in the United States, however, whatever we feel about it. But we will, and I've also provided a link, for some suggested reading on Project Censored, to provide how do we make sense of the media that's coming at us in a myriad of ways, and different outlets and different ideological underpinnings and framings. How do we make sense of all this noise out there? And a lot of it is noise. So how do we, as academics, as all of us now gathered here to try to make sense of what is happening, how do we make sense of everything that is out there? So this course it's going to be fun. I wish we were in the classroom, but we're doing this online. I'm going to provide, it's going to be interactive in our discussion postings. And one thing about this course that makes it distinct from other American government courses is our approach. And I mean from the textbooks that are used. This textbook by political scientists Paula McLean and Stephen Tauber is the only American government textbook that really centralizes this notion of this concept that you're going to come across in chapter 1, in egalitarianism. That means the tradition of excluding the large segments of society over time. And you'll find how that concept really is illuminating a lot of the issues that we're having today. right? How do these forms of police violence, issues of structural racism that we're talking about. And one thing, as we're looking at, we're going to go over the syllabus very briefly. I want you to read through here. This is our Canvas course page. It will be broken up into 3 modules. Right now, I'm going to be publishing Module 1. So you'll have the textbook here, the syllabus here. You'll also have this video you'll be watching on how to understand power. Because when we're talking about politics, I always ask students, how would you define politics? Politics is simply synonymous with one word, and that is power. How is power made? How does power work for us? How does power work against us? How much power do we have? So when we walk away from here, six weeks from now, your one takeaway, you're going to have a better understanding of how power works. And we see those contestations from people who have no power are enacting their powers out on the streets of the United States, right? So when we see social movements, it becomes the political instrument of those who are cast out, who are left out of the mainstream political process. And in the United States, we have a 2-party system, which is very exclusive. And really delimits an open democracy. So we're going to be, if you come into this course, it's going to be a very critical perspective, we're developing a critical analysis. And I have a sheet here where I've laid out some key concepts for us. It's a glossary of terms that we're going to be using. I've also defined for you what race, what class, what gender, sexuality, ableness is. But also, I will be saying and writing the word analysis a lot. That's one thing that I will be pushing upon us all to engage in. What is analysis? I wrote a brief little paragraph to think about. Analysis is not summing up. It is not opinion. And opinion is something we leave at the door. We leave that out for folks in society. We've heard over and over, well, that's my opinion, your opinion, let's agree to disagree. No, that's the wrong approach. As college students, we're developing an analysis. So that O word is something that we don't really engage in. And that's part of the reason that we're in explain some of the societal ills and why we don't move forward on some, because some people believe their opinions to be as valid as facts, as maybe science, as something that is proven, and they can just confront that reality and say, well, my opinion is different, so let's move on. No, that's kind of that moves us into that space of absurdity. And so what we're engaged in as college students is really dissecting the problem in order to make sense of it, right? So we're going to dissect the American institutional formation over time and make sense of it. And coming out of this, we're going to have a better understanding, regardless where you are at on the political spectrum. If you are far left, far right, somewhere in between, all I ask for us is to leave all of our baggage at the door and engage this course with an open mind and ready to do the intellectual labor to work out this muscle that we have up here to make sense of your place in this society and how government ought to be. And I'll explain more on what I mean by the ought to question. There is the world as it is, how power functions, and how it is envisioned by others who are trying to build a different society. And that's part of the contestation we have out there. So now, and I will be jumping in and providing some more guidance as we move through the course. But right now, I wanted to introduce myself, say hello, publish the course, and get us all off and running. Your first assignment will be due this Thursday. So once you go through the text here, you have all 670 pages of the book. This will be the only book that we will be using here. And then you have the syllabus here. So please read it through thoroughly. Any question that you may have, will be answered on here and on the letters that I sent out, all the links, all the resources. This is all my information here. We will be doing office hour if you through Confer Zoom, which is right here. You'll click on that. You also have the link on how to access the office hours. So read through the text. You have a link to the California Constitution. So that's free. Everything on here is free. If you have any issues whatsoever with Canvas, there is a helpline there. On the technical side, I'm not much help, right? So make sure you have strong Wi-Fi when you're doing your work. There's also some resources on getting free Wi-Fi that I've sent out in a welcome letter. And there's a phone number, contact Canvas. But one thing I want to make a point right now, do not wait till the final 10 minutes to submit an assignment, because something bad will happen and you will not submit it on time. And once it's closed, it's closed. Do not email any assignments. I get hundreds of emails and they will get lost. And this is our course record here. This is where all assignments come in through our Canvas course page and get uploaded, move through our plagiarism software, and I can only evaluate what moves through our Canvas learning platform. Okay, here's the grading scale, very straightforward, total 350 points. So always refer to page 2 of your syllabus if you want to know where you're at. I will always be inputting the scores as quick as possible, quick turnaround, and there's a grading breakdown. Online behavior, do your own work, right? And also the do not buy papers online. You can have one paper we're going to talk about. Don't copy and paste on discussion postings. Just really, I want to see your brain working, right? Do not cheat yourself of this time to really think about these very relevant issues, about your place amongst them and within these debates. And here's student code of conduct, so you can read through, do not violate, make any violations, and lots of other notations here. We have communication. This is what we follow. Email me. For Zoom, you have the guide here on how to set up an appointment. And student disability support services. If you feel that you need some assistance here, click on the link. I work very closely on documented student resources. There's a link there. And right now we have, I also sent out our DVC Solidarity Statement in support of our Black students and against anti-police violence against Blacks in the United States. And this is something that we're going to be moving to, and I will be discussing a bit more. And I will also be clarifying the use of Black, African American, or Brown and Latinx students, and what we mean by those conceptions. So plagiarism, I've already discussed that, but what we're getting to is, this is very straightforward. Expect the same thing. There is no assignments that will be coming out of left field. You will have 5 discussion board postings, right, worth 25 points each. You will see the guidelines as we move through. Here are the guidelines. You will have one policy paper, an analysis, and I will give you the topic. You will conduct research, and you will follow. I will send out a separate guidelines on that, and 3 multiple choice exams from the chapters detailed in those sections. So pretty straightforward. Our module 1, you will be submitting your first discussion post on this Thursday, June 18th. Again, if you don't submit by this date, you will be dropped from the course. My wait list is maxed out right now. So we're going to begin by watching the video, How to Understand Power. You can reading chapter 1. I have a reading by philosophers George Yancey and Judith Butler on what's wrong with All Lives Matter. And yes, we mean literally abolish the police readings, and then you will be responding to those. So for now, get started there. Read through the schedule. Everything's due on Thursdays. You have exams due on Sundays. and a paper at the end, late policies, and everything else here. So for now, let's just get started, read the syllabi, and I will see you soon.